difference where it made every other prison that he served time in feel like a vacation home.
Yeah,
and so it was easy for him to do time, and it also basically showed he's been kind of given a bad hand. Charlie was given a bad hand since the very beginning. He's grew up as a kid, basically forced to be a criminal. And now that past is going to haunt him through this whole thing and basically set up his whole fucking life for him. Because basically he walked into the Indiana School for Boys with a reputation as being a hellraiser. And so the guys who ran the Indiana School for Boys were decided we're going to beat the fucking hellraiser out of Charlie.
Yeah. One of them picked up raw silage from the dairy floor, because apparently they had a dairy there. He spit tobacco juice in it, in the silage, and then he shoved it up Charlie's ass, saying, "I got him lubed, so fuck him if you get the chance."
Ah, the old 1700 proctology exam.
Yeah, because apparently the whole thing is that the officers of the Indiana School for Boys would get snitch kids, to rat out other kids that were doing bad things, and then they would turn their back. The counselors would then turn their back when those kids raped the other boys.
Right. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Snitches get stitches, but in this situation, they got extra cheese sandwiches. So sometimes you get extra cheese.
So it's sick. And he also definitely had retribution. One of his rapists, he actually almost beat him to death with an iron bar and then framed one of his other rapists for the crime.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he definitely got some revenge in there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, you put a laugh track underneath his life. This is funny. This is humorous.
It's technically like the story of Arthur Fonzarelli.
Mm-hmm. Hitting jukeboxes, getting them to play. Technically theft of services, by the way.
So at 16, Charlie escapes, makes it as far as Utah, and so they take him out of the state reformatory and then throw him into a federal reformatory, which he describes as much nicer. Yeah. Apparently there's a lot more oversight in the federal reformatory.
Sure.
So that's, he's moving on up as far as the federal, as the prison system goes.
Nicer literally just means that no one put silage mixed with chewing tobacco up his ass.
Exactly.
So anything is nicer.
Yeah.
I just skipped all the different various, they forced him to work dairy. He was beaten with a cane like every other day for any offense.
Yeah.
And then the guys who ran the dairy was this sick fuck who would just would work him really hard to the point where his welts from being caned were bleeding and actively while he was doing the work, and he would have the boys come and smack his ass as he was working.
Oh, these corrections officers are total sadists and psychopaths and pedophiles. They would have loved to be in that Franklin Credit Union. That's for damn sure.
Yep. He said that he had strong sexual urges that got him into trouble from time to time. He said at this point the only climaxes he's had was from, quote, jacking off or sticking some punk in the butt.
Right.
Yeah, he said,
it's weird, though. He seems to transcend, we'll get into it. He doesn't seem to be gay. It's like a different kind of thing.
It's a weird thing. Like it's just one of those things where a hole's a hole.
This sort of like the Michael Che joke, who's now the SNL Weekend Update guy, where he talks about how you can't catch gay, you can only catch gay in prison.
Yeah.
And that seems to be what happened to him.
Yeah.
He, it's also, think about it. He had spent his formative years from the ages of 12 to 16 in boys' homes, where it's like basically he was jammed into these places where all of these kids were sexually developing, and they were just like, get a booger it.
Yeah.
All over each other, and that's got to be a dangerous place.
I mean, they say that this even happens. There's this open secret in British boarding schools that those kids there, they, generally fuck each other with fair regularity.
That's not a secret. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's why I just want to see the secret files of the damn Dumbledore. I want to go over to Hogwarts and see them tiny wizards all crawling all over each other, coming on each other's cone hats and sticking the wands up and soiled themselves.
Yeah, you don't want to activate that wand, though. It turns your prostate into a gerbil. That would be terrible. Yeah, that Jimmy Savile has nothing on that Dumbledore. That would be crazy.
Yeah. So it's a matter of record that Charlie was caught having sex with a younger inmate while he held a razor to his throat. Mm-hmm. And that was, a lot of people say that was one of Charlie's first violent acts. That was when he had been pushed too far. But here's what Charlie says about that particular incident.
I was accused of holding a razor blade to this kid's throat. I screwed him in the ass. Truth was, the guy was an undercover queer and he wanted a dick in his ass. And I didn't mind doing it to him. We both agreed that if we got caught, he could say I forced him. We got caught.
Sounds like it, Charlie. So you're sticking with your story that he was an undercover queer, like the gay community sent him in there to bust you.
Yeah, he said, I didn't have any respect for a joint punk then, and I don't now.
No, he does not.
No, he does not.
No, he doesn't. No, and he should have because they deserve it.
God, 5'5", man, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing that he was able to survive it all in these situations. Really.
Yeah. He said
Well,
that.
that's what he says. Talks about that all the time. Honestly,
Yeah.
is that because of his size, he had to do everything to an extreme.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He had to always show people that he was fucking nuts in order to. And basically, he even says it in this thing, and it's true. It's kind of like that Kurt Vonnegut quote of being like, we are who we pretend to be, but you must be careful who you pretend to be.
Yeah.
Where it's like he basically created this image for himself that he was this crazy, like fucking maniac, and then eventually began to believe it.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was in some sort of involuntary institution from the ages of 12 to 19.
Right.
Like he was either in a boys' home or in a reformatory from 12 to 19.
Now, when I was 12 to 19, I was looking up to like Chris Farley, John Starks. What were some of his idols?
He was looking up to any criminal that happened to be in front of him that could give him any hint into what life could be like for a person like him.
And these were like his teen beat.
These were his idols. Like
Right.
everyone else
Tiger
looks up
beat,
to
rather.
sports stars.
Right.
He looked up to criminals, like members of the Ma Barker gang. Like he just looked up to these people like they were the end all be all. Like this is who he idolized himself after.
Right.
So 1955, he married the first woman he slept with and moved to California. Of course, he had...
And the way he describes her too, it's just like, she wasn't much of a piece, but I have you know her silky smooth skin was better than any rough bars of any prison I've ever been in.
Baby, you're better than prison bars. Oh, Charlie.
Oh, I love you.
I can't. I would just love the moment where he's bringing the razor up to her neck and she says, "Shh, don't."
Hey,
I don't gotta do
you're as
that.
ugly as a dog, and you got a hair in your lip, and you got a butt the size of Mississippi. What I will say is, I will sleep with you.
Charlie.
So, of course...
Thank you, Charlie.
Can't believe it.
So, of course, yeah. Well, actually, what you guys just said, that exact thing will happen later on.
Oh, very
like
good.
that exact situation, right up to the copious body hair. So he has no skills outside of prison life. So, of course, he returns right to crime, gets the woman pregnant, and at 21, he gets arrested for car theft, sentenced to 5 years at Terminal Island, which he called, quote, a paradise.
He loved it, huh?
saying, the Indiana School for Boys made everything else easy for him.
Everything. So while he was in jail, his wife took his son and left him for a truck driver. He was never in contact with his first wife or his son ever again. And of course, he wanted to go straight, while he was in family. I'm going to fucking get my life together. I'm going to get out. I'm going to get a good job. Of course, the wife and kid leave. So he says, fuck it. I'm going to become a pimp.
But
There
you
you
learn
go.
this a lot with him, is that he has a lot of these moments, which I think is very common in people that are lifelong criminals, where he basically is being like, I'm gonna go straight, I'm doing this, I'm going on the straight and narrow, I'm gonna be a good citizen from here on out, and then it's just really the tiniest reasons to him to go like, well, fuck life, fuck these.
It's not even a tiny reason. He didn't. First of all, in this reform school, they didn't exactly teach him anything.
No.
And I'm shocked. The U.S. reform system is so unbelievably educational, but there is no choice. What's his other option?
He
He
has
can't
no
get a
idea
job
what
bagging
to do.
groceries.
Yeah.
What's this weird 5'5" guy walks into your Costco? Can I touch the produce? No, get out of here. Go steal a car.
Yeah.
You know, I could use my mind to rearrange these peanuts, and I'll just get them for free.
So he has a dream of being a pimp, and he gets out and he becomes a pimp. And I love how he described it. He described being a pimp as being the bank president of crime.
Oh, wow.
That's how low Charlie's
I think
expectations
the bank
were.
president is the bank president of crime.
Yeah, I think so. But you know what? He was, and this is not surprising, considering what became of his female followers later on in life. He was a fucking amazing pimp.
In what way? How was he so good?
He was
Because he would ask all this advice as to how to use this, like, how do you turn a girl out? And like to other pimps in jail, and they're just like, what you gotta do is
you gotta get in that girl's head. Make her love you more than anybody else. Tell her that you love her more than anybody else. And how how deep and powerful your love is compared to anybody else's. And then tell her to sell her pussy on the street.
Oh, wow.
That was the advice. And so
it worked.
I think that's how Simon Cowell treated Kelly Clarkson after she won American Idol.
But he was talking about with his, because he was like basically this like pimp philosophy about how like you could like all women want to do it.
Yeah,
and it's so fucked up because according to Charles Manson, he had a girlfriend as soon as he got out of jail, and they were